Keysight's Eggplant Generator is a complete standalone product that democratizes the power of AI for your whole test team. It's designed to streamline test asset creation directly from requirements written in natural language. Generator reduces manual effort cost and improves test team efficiency by automatically generating Gherkin test scenarios and conventional test cases based on your requirements. Locally deployed and secure, Generator leverages an embedded large language model and performant RAG architecture, all accessed via a simple, intuitive web user interface. In this video, I will lead a quick tour through the product and demonstrate the process for uploading requirements documents and generating your test assets, as well as uploading new or additional context files. So upon logging in, we are presented with the collections page, which shows a list of all the collections of test assets that have been generated so far on this instance of Generator. This shows some summary details of each collection, including when it was last updated, and then the counts of the requirements and the test assets generated from those requirements. You can search by ID or name to quickly find the collection you're looking for, or filter this view by generation status or within a date range. Now let's also take a look at the context files page. Here we can see all of the files that have been uploaded into this specific instance. Generator initially comes supplied with a default set of context documents, which contain ISO and industry software testing terms and standards. Then here we have some other files specific to the requirements for the previously generated assets we just looked at, as well as the e-commerce example we'll be using in this demo. The context store is key to the value of generated assets. The more information you can give the context for your instance, the better your generated assets will be, as the model can be better informed about the software under test, the industry, sector, or locale you operate in, and your own business processes, acronyms, terms, and standards. Generator will then look at the available context when generating, using its performant RAG architecture to rapidly select the most relevant documents for each specific generation of your assets. So let's initiate a new generation of assets from a requirements document. We can either go up here in the top right of the collections page and click Import, or alternatively, we can click in the expandable sidebar to the Import menu and choose Requirements. So I'm now going to import a new requirements document. It's important to note at this point that the requirements document does currently have to be in Excel or CSV format with some minimum required columns for generation to succeed. You'll need a requirement ID and description, which should just be in descriptive natural language. Generator can also utilize a third column with extra information about your requirement, such as a high-level feature, if your document contains it. I'm going to select a spreadsheet containing around 30 requirements for an e-commerce application for this demonstration. After selecting my Excel file to import, the UI will give a preview of the file here in the view so I can check it's the correct file. You can give the collection a custom name or choose to overwrite an existing collection with a new generation if you want to. I'm just going to leave this one as it is, and you can see it defaults to the name of the requirements file you uploaded. If I click Next, we'll be taken into the next view, which allows us to specify which columns from our requirements document we want to map to IDs and requirements details. This is helpful. Where your requirements document might have a lot of columns, it's simpler to simply do this clear mapping to tell Generator what to look at. So if I select my ID column, and then my requirements description column, and in this instance, I'll also pick the name column for extra information and click Next. Now we are in the context files step. This allows us to either upload additional context files or to choose which context files are candidates for inclusion in the generation context. This allows different teams to share an instance of Generator, but to selectively define which context files Generator will look at for this particular generation. If some context files are not relevant to the requirements, for example, if they pertain to a different application or system, it's best to exclude those files to ensure Generator only looks at the best, most relevant context documents for the generation. In this instance, I'm going to exclude these documents as they're not relevant to my set of requirements. Then I can click Import. Now we can see we're back in the main view, and our new generation first goes into a queue if there are other generations already underway, and then when it gets to the front of the queue, you can see we move into in progress. You can see here we now have an estimated time to completion, which will update for increased accuracy as generation proceeds, and of course, performance is greatly dependent on the infrastructure you have deployed on. You can now leave this generating and go and do other useful things, or you can look at other collections as you're waiting. Generator also allows you to inspect the collection as it's being processed. So assets that have already been generated can be inspected while the other requirements in the collection are being processed. We've now skipped ahead to the generation of our collection being finished. If we click into the collection detail page, we have a table of each requirement row from the document alongside the information telling us that it has successfully generated a number of Gherkin scenarios and test cases from each individual requirement. There's also a table viewable by clicking Asset Summary that contains the high-level information about this collection. In this one, we can see from 30 initial requirements, Generator has produced 97 Gherkin scenarios and the same number of conventional test cases, giving us a total of 194 test assets produced from 30 individual requirements. And this generation took less than an hour. By clicking this Gherkin button here, in the Assets column, it will show us a preview of the Gherkin scenarios generated for this requirement, and you can see we have generated both positive and negative scenarios. If I click Test Case, you can see these in a more conventional step-by-step test case format. You can search this table by ID or requirement name, or filter by generated asset type or status, or within a date range. And if you wanted to regenerate any particular set of Gherkin or test case assets, for example, if you have subsequently uploaded more context documents after the initial generation, you can using this button here. When you're happy with your test assets, you can then choose to download them in various zip files, either the full set of Gherkin feature files or your test cases in CSV format, and you can also download the original requirements document in original or text format if you would like to. That concludes the demo of Generator. We're really excited about how we can help your test teams to greater efficiency, and we look forward to working with you.